Hello. Welcome everyone to today's session. I'm Christy Albietto, COO of IOOGO. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I want to make sure to invite everyone to join the conversation in our IOOGO Small Business Hub on LinkedIn. That's a chance to connect with startups, small businesses, and founders to get the best of their knowledge and also boost your business. So in today's episode, we're talking about how to build a leadership model for the future of business and work. And we have two special guests with us today. I'm going to introduce the first one, Mario Melendez. He is the Director of Marketing for IOOGO. So please, everyone, welcome Mario.
Thank you so much for having me. And this is a great talk we'll have today. So I'm very excited. And now let me introduce our special guest today. His name is Joe Martland. He is Chief Operations Officer of IOOGO. For Focus Services. So, Benjo, you have 15 years of BPO experience and leadership experience as well on international operations. You've worked on U.S., Europe, Asia, and Latin America, and as a Chief Operations Officer, you have a proven track record of success, and you have consistently improved KPIs and client satisfaction by using and leveraging best practices, business processes, and operational behaviors. So you also, from what I've heard, you found great energy, fun, and creativity at what you do, and your people love you about it. So thank you so much for being with us, and we are really honored to have you on today's session. We expect you to share your best experience with us and with the small business owners, entrepreneurs we have out there listen to this conversation. So welcome.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Appreciate the opportunity. And if you don't know something, don't know this about Mario. When I first met Mario years ago, he was on a El Salvador's Got Talent singing competition. He's got a heck of a voice. If you haven't heard it sing, you got to do it. You got to do a show where he sings.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Nice little tidbit. Welcome, Benjo. So happy to have you here today. So as Mario was talking about, you've got a lot of great experience. And so we thought you'd be perfect for coming on and sharing your leadership experience with us. So, let's get right into it. Tell us what you consider to be a leader. Everyone seems to have a different opinion about this, but what's your opinion on what makes a great leader?
That's a great question about leader. Often when I talk to my team, I talk about the difference between leadership and management. And I'll often say that managers maintain and leaders drive change. And so your company could be filled with lots of great managers who just maintain what you've asked them to do. But your leaders are going to inspire change. They're going to find ways to take it to the next level. Either that's through innovation or applying new processes, or just through basic motivation. They're able to get people to take.
Right. Definitely, very true. I remember reading once that what makes leader is when they can take someone from point A to point B, where point B isn't somewhere that they would have normally gone before. So I think that's kind of along the lines of what you're saying. But not everyone really encompasses those traditional leadership skills. If it's something that doesn't come naturally to someone, is that something that you think can be learned?
No, absolutely. I think it's natural when people get into a leadership role that they really are just managers. And so that's where mentors, the people above them, have to guide them through the process of inspiring change and helping to see where those gaps are. So I often find over the years when I've promoted people, they'll come in with a whole bunch of delusions of grandeur that they're going to be the world's greatest leader. And they're really just a really good supervisor. They're just a good manager. And then I'm able to kind of poke holes into their thinking and get them to go, oh, I need to look at it differently. I need to step into different shoes. I need to think about it. And then next thing you know, that they're making these analytical decisions or these leadership decisions that actually drive the change. And I was that guy. When I started early in my leadership career, I remember going to a job interview, applying for a leadership position, and saying, all my other leaders suck. I'm the best leader in the world. And then they gave me the job, and I realized I was just a glorified manager. I had no idea what I was doing to inspire change, but I had good mentors that kept me on my toes.
That's great. With those mentors, was that a matter of just meeting with them? Were they recommending books or videos or anything like that to you to kind of help you grow?
Yeah, I think it was kind of two part. One, I was kind of a hungry person who loved to read, and loved to be inspired, and so um, high freshman year, or no, it's probably my senior year in high school, I read Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. My parents gave me a Franklin Covey Seven Habits seminar for my graduating present. So I was kind of a nerd on that side already. But I actually found the best mentors embraced me and took me under their wing without me even asking. They saw that I was struggling somewhere, and then came to me and said, "Hey, I want to help you." So I people all the time will come to me and say, will you be my mentor? Can you be my mentor? And I'm like, I'm happy to help you, but I find the best mentors actually find you, because
Mhm.
that's what I think also, again, great leaders who are growing and they're developing other people, and they're constantly driving change. I found that I've had people come to me and say, "You were a great mentor to me." I was like, I had no idea I was your mentor. It's like, well, you always stopped me. You always asked me questions. You always challenged me. You always encouraged me. And I was like, oh, well, I was just being a leader.
That's
And so therefore I ended up mentoring you. And Mario will probably attest to this. My favorite gift to give people for birthdays and for Christmas is a book. So I would often look at you and say, okay, I think I know what you need. I'm going to give you a book. And then I would write something in the book. And so most of the supervisors who reported me over the years, or leaders who reported over the years, they'll say, "Yeah, well, I've got like 15 books you gave me, because you just saw what I needed."
that's awesome. And what book, Mario, were you gifted with?
I believe that the most impressive one, it's Extreme Ownership. So I really love that book, and it's it's been a like a day and night after I read the book. So you got the chance to learn and really understand how Ben actually works with its teams. So I believe that it's been a really good experience reading that book, and from that point on, you just want to read more, you want to learn more. And I actually wanted to ask you about your own experience, Ben, because I know that you've been working at different companies before Focus, and you've been creating your own experience by traveling and by doing a lot of things. So, especially for Focus, how that adventure has been during the last few years, because I know you travel around the world, and you have built great and efficient teams on different sides of the globe. So, how do you face challenges like language barrier, social, cultural standards, which are very different than the ones in the United States?
Uh, I'll be honest, I actually find the cultural differences in the United States harder to adapt to than cultural differences in international sites. Um, Mainly because I feel like international sites, or my international sites, they're so excited to share their culture. And so I find I ask questions about the culture. I try to learn languages or learn concepts. I'm an extremely novice Tagalog speaker, but I've been studying it for a couple of years. And not because Tagalog is going to get me anywhere. You can speak English wherever you go in the Philippines, but 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 when I speak to people in Tagalog, or I talk about Tagalog, or I talk about the nuances of Tagalog, the Filipinos are just like, "Dude, that's so awesome! Like, you're learning our culture. Like, that is great." Same thing with Europe. Like, I actually managed Europe for a year and a half and never even went there.
Wow.
in that first year and a half. But I got along so well to the point where I have these long lasting relationships with employees from Germany to England because I took the time to learn about the football teams that they liked. So that was really easy. Where I kind of feel sometimes in the United States, we're a little more closed off. So like if I was like, hey, what's your favorite sports team? Why are you talking to me? And so I've actually found it harder sometimes to connect to my US based employees sometimes because they're just, I think we're a little bit more in ourselves in our world in the United States, whereas internationally, people are so excited to share their culture. So when I want to build a relationship or build leadership, I've taken, I try to take a lot of time meeting all of my leaders and my managers individually, getting to know their culture, getting to know their personality, and then trying to embrace their culture and their personality. And I just feel like that goes a lot further. And that's, for example, what I did when I was in El Salvador, as I just fully embraced the culture and embraced the language and the food and the nuances of the country. And it made it easy for me to be able to connect to the people around me.
Yeah, I can definitely see how it would be more challenging here in the US than in other countries. Uh, I found that when people come visit us from other countries, they bring us things from to share with us from their countries. And I asked my husband, I go, what do we bring people when we come from the United States?
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not quite sure what to share our
it,
culture.
it's super hard. Like I have centers in Texas, North Carolina, Florida, Utah, all over the Midwest, and and it would be kind of a challenge. I think I could think of things that I could
Yeah.
bring, but if I was, but it's again, it's a little bit challenging. But at the same time, I've learned how to do that a little bit. Like if I've got a call center in Dubuque, Iowa, that's 5 minutes away from the Field of Dreams site from Kevin Costner's movie. So everybody there likes
Awesome.
to talk about baseball. So,
Yes.
those little things I think make a huge difference when you're trying to build a relationship and create great leaders and let people know, trust you because I've taken
Mhm.
the time to meet them. So.
So you've mentioned how you lead people all over the world. What are some of the tools that you've come across to kind of help foster that leadership with from afar?
Um,
Other
it,
than, I mean, I guess Zoom is probably the most popular
yeah,
one, but
yeah, Zoom, obviously, or some sort of web tool, is easy. I use I've had some success with this, but using some sort of management type software that everybody can see what you're working on. I'm an agile project management type of personality, and so at any given time, I could have 15 or 20 different projects in 4 countries, in 3 different locations running at the same time. And so it's important for me to make sure that I've got all of our to-dos and everything that we're working on progressed. And then that allows me to assign tasks to people, see their progress. So I don't need to have a 4-hour meeting. I can have a 15-minute stand up with a group and say, what'd you get done yesterday? What are you gonna do today? How can I help? Move on. And in my role, I find I am more now of a how can I help you
mhm.
role. And then as they try to execute the strategy or the vision that we've already put forth. So I found probably the greatest tool that I've come up with, and I've experimented with different versions of it from Choir to Trello to different things, and I'm not settled on one specific one. Um, but I think you definitely need some virtual whiteboard that you can put all of your thoughts in place and that your team can see what you're working on and then they can see when it gets done. And if you all agree on what done looks like, it's very, very easy to use. So I found that I think email also is one of the most inefficient tools on the planet. So if you can go to something like Teams or Slack, um, even WhatsApp is easier, because people people will respond more attentively. It's easier to share files and then edit those files and communicate with forth. Where I find like an email, you're just recopying and adding, and then people say, well, just read down the list. And you're like, it takes me all day to figure out where everything is. So if I could get my entire team to stop using email, I would. But unfortunately, there are just some things that still get sent by email.
And that's a great thing because you've been working on with this international network of sites and people. So technology comes your way to help you out and help you be more efficient and to lead correctly. But there's also the human factor that comes in and you get a handle. So I know that you are a process-oriented person, and you're always trying to develop the next process to improve efficiency and get results done. So what's the best process you've created so far, or what's the best standard you have built within your company that you know it's currently giving results?
That's a great question. I think the best processes that we've created in the most recent years, and maybe I should preface it by saying that I think the secret to great processes is as soon as you've created it, you need to go back and fix it because it's probably already broken, or you've learned what didn't work. And that's something that I have to constantly remind myself to do, because sometimes you get a little in English we would say rest on our laurels, where we just, I'm so grateful that process is in place now, I can just forget about it. But you can't do that. But we created a behavioral based coaching model, and the concept was, how do you coach and develop employees to be better? And you can do this by setting these KPI goals that are sometimes a little arbitrary, in the sense that you're setting it based on what you think that the company needs or what the client needs. But you've not actually given them the tools to predict that success. And I get the concept from brushing my teeth. I'm a twice a day brush your teeth guy. Try to floss once a day, and I got thinking about why I do that. And my wife was really annoyed that I am very rarely have a cavity. In fact, didn't have a cavity until I was probably 20. And my mom taught me how to brush teeth, and she went through a series of stages where she, showed me how to do it, and then eventually she held me down and brushed it for me, and then she would make me go brush, and I had to come back and show her. And she did that for two reasons. One, she wanted grandkids because she knew if I was ever going to, get a girlfriend, I had to brush my teeth. But number two, she wanted to save on her cavity bill, and she knew that I had an 80-90% chance I was going to have a cavity if I brushed my teeth. And so you can use that same concept in your own life and in any business that you're working in. Is a debt that's a key behavior that, when becomes a habit, guarantees a high probability of success. And so I've learned that go to the dentist every 6 months, brush your teeth twice a day, floss every day, and my dental visit will have a high probability will be successful. You can do that same thing in any company. And so we've taken the time to build a process where everything we do, we analyze what are the key behaviors that, if that employee turned it into a habit, we could predict their success. It could be on a simple phone call. It can be in your accounting department. It could be in your leadership development. It could be in your executive team. And you can say, hey, these are the different things. And just think of accounting, for example, an end of month checklist. Okay, that has to be done every month by this date accurately. It's a behavior. You can measure that. And if it becomes a habit where the accountant doesn't even think twice and just does it, you're already predicting success. You think about an agent. On a phone call, I need you to build rapport, ask probing questions, match features and benefits, close the sale. I can then role play, build training material about each one of those behaviors, measure it, and then once I see he's at 80 or 90% of doing that behavior, I know he's got it at a habit. I can predict his success. So setting goals for people becomes so much more predictable and reasonable to the employee, because instead of just saying, here's a goal, go figure it out, I've said, here's a goal, but if you will practice this behavior and make it a habit into your daily routines, you will then be successful. because it's small, smart choices plus time plus consistency equals radical change. That's Daryl Hardy. And if you put that into your day-to-day processes, so that's probably the biggest process we've done company-wide that we've implemented at all different levels of the company. We have ways to measure that and then set goals for people, and then they feel like they're in a winnable game week over week.
And that's important because there's also some sort of leadership role on the whole process that it's in charge of, I believe, making sure the process it's done correctly. Am I wrong?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So, well, I believe, Christy, you're
Sorry, and when
yeah.
you think it's correct, it's not yet correct.
Yeah, right.
I think that's important to know as a leader, is that you're never done, even when you think you are.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So Benjo, you sound like such a great leader. You know, anyone would love to work for you. Like you mentioned, people thanked you for mentoring them when you didn't realize you were mentoring them. Have you ever had a challenge in your leadership? You know, maybe early on, and how did you handle that?
Oh gosh, I think I had two this morning. Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of challenges. Uh, Gosh, I'll give you a great example. I had one day where I had three clients leave me on the same day. All three for different reasons. One, they decided they wanted a cheaper vendor. One got bought out by another vendor. One went out of business. But psychologically, that can have a severe impact. And you think, well, what did I do wrong, and how am I failing, and how am I doing that? And I really found in most of my challenges, it's been important for me to realize that I can't do it myself. That I have to go seek out my own mentors, my own people. Um, and so I've often turned to people, and some people kind of laugh at this, but this has come from Jack Welch from his book Winning, that you need to surround yourself with smarter people than you.
Mhm.
If you're the smartest guy in the room and you're the one doing all the talking, okay, then you're never ever going to accomplish anything. So I've tried very hard to have smart people around me, whether they're people I've developed into being very, very smart, or people that I've just grown to really, really trust. Um, and that's when I've turned to the people below me and just been very honest and say, here's the situation we're in. We lost these three clients. We're going to lose this many hours. And I was so impressed with my team. They immediately said, well, then we're going to make these cuts. We're going to have to make these changes. We're going to have to move these people over here. We're going to shut down this part of the building. Like, I didn't have to sit and think of it all by myself. They rallied around me. So here I was their mentor, but because of the type of people I surrounded myself with, when I went to them with my problems, they immediately said, well, now we're going to help you. Now we're going to lift you up, and we're going to make these changes. And interesting enough, we didn't miss our net margin, gross margin goals, even though we had lost those three accounts. And through those failures or those mistakes, this behavioral process that I explained to you was actually born. And so we took what we learned from those experiences, and we took the time, now that we had a little more free time, to document and to experiment, and then to reapply it to other parts of the business. And so I find that if you are a leader and you think you're the smartest guy in your company, you're in
doing it
my
wrong.
opinion, you're doing it wrong, and you're destined to eventually be alone.
Right.
And when you have a big challenge, you're not going to know who to turn to.
Yep.
Because you're the smart guy, remember? And
Mhm.
so, and now I have people who work with me globally who know way more than me. They are so much smarter to me, and I have a big challenge right now. I'm working on one part of my divisions, and I called the guy yesterday. It's like, hey, I want to walk you through this piece, and he actually said to me, he's like, I have nothing to do with this part of the business. It's like, yeah, but you're smarter than me in a lot of ways. Okay, and you've worked at other companies and you've seen this work, so your opinion's valuable. He's like, well, my opinion is I wouldn't do this and this and this. Is okay, perfect.
That's great. We're coming close to the end, but before we ask you some last questions, I wanted to let anyone know that if you're watching and you have any questions for Benjo, please drop them in the chat, and we can get them answered live. If not, you're always welcome to drop a question later, and we'll be happy to get that answered for you. Okay, so I guess since we're coming close, then I'll I'll ask one last question, and I'll let Mario ask one last question, and we'll see if anyone else has any questions. I think for me, if I wanted to know anything, is what do you find as your source of inspiration when you're doing your role as a COO?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, it's kind of my morning routine. I have kind of a morning routine that I follow. I just moved from country, so my morning routine's been a little bit off because where I live now, the light is different. But I have found that if I can follow a set of morning routines, and I actually love the book, the Morning Miracle, and I recommend anybody to read that book and to put into place that 90-day morning miracle challenge, because my morning routine starts with prayer and meditation, it journal writing, and some reading. I have kind of a set of things. I get a lot done from 4:30 to 5:30, probably three times maybe what the average person would do. But that hour is kind of my time and it ends with a good long run out on the street, or time out in the gym or on an exercise bike. And that whole process I find to be incredibly inspiring for me. And actually, back to that challenge where I lost those three accounts, the first thing I did the next morning is I got up at 4 in the morning and I went and did a 10-mile run.
Oh, wow.
And I remember running through the streets of El Salvador, you know, dark as all can be, listening to some great music or to a podcast, and just so many thoughts flooding into me that I was going to be fine, and that I had a good plan and good people around me. And so there are great books, but again, I work those into my morning routine, into my daily routines. But for me, I need a good solid hour, hour and a half every day where there's no interruptions, no email, no social media, no TikTok, none of that stuff, where I can just get up and focus on these things that are going to set up my day. The days I can execute that morning routine, they're always fantastic.
That's awesome. We're going to have to drop a list of all the books that have been recommended so far. So if anyone's interested, we'll include those links.
Yep.
Definitely. And my question, my last question, was regarding your books. And we've heard that you're a passionate book reader. And uh, what books would you recommend those young entrepreneurs and small business owners who are eager to learn and develop their own leadership skills? Because most of them, they start alone, but they are planning on building a company of 50 employees, 100 employees, 500 employees in the future. So they need to start learning and developing those skills. What would you recommend?
Yeah, I would start with Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I think everybody should read that book. I think you should probably read it once a year. Okay, especially if you're losing any type of motivation. Everyone's going to have ups and downs and ebbs and flows in their life. Think and Grow Rich first. It's just going to get you in the right mindset. People think it's about the money. It's not. It's about the mindset, and I think that's going to make a huge difference. Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink, fantastic book. I think that will get you an understanding of what you need to do to take charge as a leader, and how you can communicate as a leader, how you work with your team as a leader, how you don't become battlefield aloof, how you report up and down effectively, and how you take ownership when your team fails. I would start anybody with those two books. The Morning Miracle, Game Changer, because that's going to set you up for some great daily routines. And then Michael Hyatt has a fantastic book. It's 5 Days to Your Best Year Ever, and that's going to set you up for a set of patterns and behaviors that will change your daily routines and your goal setting, and that'll probably just take you to the next level. I could give you a whole list after that, but I would say if anybody came to me today and said, Benjo, what's 5 books I need to read right now? And the last one would be Jack Welch Winning. I would start with that. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, Extreme Ownership, 90 Morning Miracle, 5 Days to the Best Year Ever, and then Jack Welch Winning. That's going to give you everything you need to really get started. And then everything else is now about leadership, and it becomes nuanced. And you start saying, okay, how do I okay, I need to do better in these different skills, then you can go out there and find different books to help you out. That'll give you the foundation you need.
Definitely going to go put some of those on my reading list. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Benjo, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us about your experiences as a leader. I'm sure that you're helping tons of entrepreneurs as they get on their leadership or they start on their leadership journey. So again, thank you so much. And again, if anyone has any questions and you missed the live viewing of this, feel free to drop them in the comments and we will get you some responses quickly. Mario,
Perfect.
anything else?
We're good. So we want to invite our audience to our next IOOGO session. It will be again next Thursday, the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we have a lot of surprises for you. So don't forget, 11 a.m. next Thursday. You can go to ioogo.com and submit your requests, and we will send you all the links so you can join and ask your questions and learn more about or a special guest we have every single week.
Yep. Yeah. So next week it's about building the right team to launch company success. And we've got Ray Roker that will be joining us. And so very excited to have him and look forward to seeing everyone next week.
Yes, we are. So thank you, everybody. And well, have a great day.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.